Okay. So this is solving. Is it showing up there yet? Okay. Solving systems of equations by graphing. Okay, so just looking at that title, okay, and this is chapter 6, this is part 1, just looking at that title, what are some things about that title that you know about? Do you know, first of all, do you know what equations are? Right? You know what equations are, okay? They are something with an equal sign, right? Okay, do you know how to graph stuff? You do, right? Okay. Who remembers slope-intercept form of an equation? When you graph from slope-intercept form, well, what is that? Caden, what is that? Y equals mx plus b, okay? Slope-intercept is y equals mx plus b, okay? And there are some important parts of this, okay? Y equals mx plus b. Every one of these things in this slope-intercept form has a use, right? Or has an important part of graphing. Okay, the two most important, if I'm graphing from slope-intercept, are what? Does anybody know? Carson?
M and B.
M and B. What does the B stand for? Anybody remember?
That's y-intercept.
That's the y-intercept, and that means that's where my line crosses what? The y-axis, okay? What about the M? Does anybody remember what the M is? What does M stand for? Slope, okay? All right, and slope has to be done in what form to do it? Fraction, okay? Because you have to change in y over change in x. Everybody remember that? Okay, so you know what this is. You know what this is. What about this? What is a system? Okay, a system is a group of one or more equations, okay? So we're going to start with two equations. You have two equations, and basically what you're doing is finding a solution that works for both equations, okay? And you're going to find an x value and a y value, okay? So when we solve for a system, your answers, your solution set, is going to be in an ordered pair form because it's going to be in our graph, okay? So let's take a look. I'll show you what I'm talking about. This is actually really simple once you get the hang of it. Do I say that all the time? I seem to say that all the time, don't I? Okay. All right, got a graph here. All right. Can I erase this? Actually, I don't need to erase it. Okay. Let's say I'm going to solve this system of equations. I have y equals negative 6x plus 4, and I have y equals negative x minus 1. Okay. This, do I have more than one? Do I have more than one equation there? I do. I have two equations. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to find out what x is and what y is. Okay? You think you can look at that and figure out what x is and y is? And it's going to be the same for both of these because it's a system. Okay, that's pretty difficult, right? You just started plugging in values. Let's say x was 1. Well, okay, if this is x is 1, you could probably get there eventually. Okay, but we're going to do this by graphing. Okay, you're going to need, when you graph today, you have to graph. Okay, normally when we graph lines, am I a stickler as far as it being a straight line? Not really. But you have to graph extremely straight lines today. Why? I'll show you in a minute. Okay, but if you would like to borrow one of my rulers, take one of those, pass them around. Okay, please don't hit them on the desk and break them, please. Okay, but you're going to need a ruler today. Okay, because you have to graph very straight lines. Okay, all right. As those are coming around, somebody tell me how would I go about, let's take this first equation, okay? I have y equals negative 6x minus 4. Y equals negative 6x plus 4. Okay, if I look at that equation, do I have enough information there to graph this? Think about this. Is it in slope-intercept form of an equation? It is, right? Do I have a y-intercept? Come on, guys, look at it. Do I have a y-intercept? Do I have a slope? I do, right? Okay, so what's my y-intercept? What's my y-intercept? Look at it.
B equals 4.
Y-intercept is 4. What's my slope? Remember, slope is always the number in front of the x, right? So this is negative 6, but it's got to be a what? Fraction. So what do I put it over? Negative 6 over 1. Is that enough for me to graph that first thing?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so let's graph that, okay? A y-intercept of 4. Where's what y-intercept of 4 means it crosses the y-axis where? At 4. So I'm going to go up to right here. I'm going to put a point. What's my slope?
Negative.
-6/1. Now, if you remember, when I graph slope, I always put my arrows, okay? So that means I'm going to go down 6 and I'm going to go over 1, okay? So is that from the origin or is that from the y-intercept? Y-intercept. So I'm going to go to my y-intercept and I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over 1, okay? And I'm going to put my point, okay? Now, what you're going to do here, okay, I'm going to put a line here. And I want this to try to be, this is hard to do straight lines on here. I want it to be as straight as possible as far as going right through those points. I think that'll probably be okay. That's why you're going to use the ruler. Okay, you're going to use the ruler to make straight points. Everybody with me so far? I mean straight lines. You with me so far? Okay, do we need more rulers?
Yeah.
How many more do we need? 2 more. Okay,
I just took this one for the broken ruler, so that's,
so 3 more. Is that one broken?
I thought it was broken.
It's not broken? It's broken. It's a half ruler. We'll get rid of that. Do you have the other half? Who else needs rulers? You two? All right. Okay, so we graphed the first one of that system, right? So let's take the second one. Let's go back to our original system. Do I have enough to graph this one? Is this in slope-intercept form? Remember, if y is by itself and it equals something, okay, even if there's not an x, if y is by itself, do I have enough to graph that?
Yes.
Yes, I do. Okay, so what would my y-intercept of this equation be? Everybody look at it. What's my y-intercept? Everybody, except for Caden, look at it. -1. -1. Right, Alyssa? Now, I don't have a number in front of my x. I don't have a number to represent my slope. But, Brock, do I actually have a number?
Yes.
Yes, what is it?
1.
It's 1. And because there's a negative sign, that makes it a what?
-1.
-1. And Allison, I have to put this slope in what form? In fraction form. So I put that over a 1. Are we good? Does everybody understand what we did there?
Yes.
Can we go graph this? Okay. Smear, where is -1 on the y-axis? Huh? Right here? Okay. And what was my slope, Smear? So that means I'm going to go down 1 and where? Over 1, right? So from here I go down 1, over 1. Okay. Did those two intersect right there? Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to make my line. Okay. And if I see this one actually intersects right there. That's where those two lines intersect. Okay. And so we solved this system by graphing, and we're going to put the points of the line where it intersected. What are the coordinates of that point?
1.
Over 1, down how many? 1, -2. Okay, this is what I call my solution set. Okay, my solution set is going to be 1, -2. Now, if I took those values and I plugged them into both equations, then they would work for both equations. Okay, you don't have to do that. We can do that mentally. But if I have 1, -2, if I plug in -2 for y, right here, okay, -2 equals -1 minus 1. Well, what's -1 minus 1? What's -1 minus 1? -2. Does -2 equal -2? So was it correct for that one? Yes. Now, you don't you don't have to go back and check, okay? You kind of understand what we did there. Okay, let's try another one. Can I erase all this? Okay. All right. Let's try another one, okay? Let's say I've got this system. Y equals -4/3 x plus 1, and y equals -1/3 x minus 2. Okay, here's my system. Let's start by identifying can I graph these? First of all, are they both in slope-intercept form? So I'm good to go, right? I can graph them now, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and start by graphing these. Okay, somebody raise your hand. Somebody raise your hand. Okay, Carson, tell me on this equation, what is the slope and y-intercept?
The slope and y-intercept for the first
Uh-huh.
The slope is negative 4/3.
Okay. And we make the top number negative. Good. And what's the y-intercept?
1.
1. Everybody agree? Okay. Somebody else raise their hand. Okay, listen. What is the slope and y-intercept for this one? What's the y-intercept for this one?
N equals negative 1/3.
Okay.
And then B equals negative 2.
-2. Okay. Can we graph these?
Yes.
Okay. Who can help me graph this first one? Okay, Noah, help me graph the first one. What's my y-intercept? So it goes up 1. Okay. And what was the slope? So negative 4/3 means down 4 over 3, right? Okay. So I'm going to go from there, go where? 1, 2, 3, 4 over 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. Let's put our line. Okay. Somebody help me graph the second one. Somebody help me graph the second one. Okay, Jaden, help me graph the second one. What's the y-intercept? -2. So I'm going to go to -2, which is down 2. And what's my, sorry. My slope was down 1 over 3. So I'm going to go, Miss J's loud, huh? Down 1 over 3. She got in trouble for attendance. Ha ha ha. Okay, so down 1 over 3. Do you notice that this one intersects right here? Okay. I'll put red so we know that they intersected. So I make my line. Now, the two that we have done, okay, they intersect where we graph the slopes. Sometimes it might not come across that way. Okay, in other words, we might actually have to make the lines show where they intersect. Okay, do you understand what I mean by that? So what would the answer, what's my solution set to that system? What is it? Over 1, 2, 3. Down how many? -3. Okay? Does that make sense how we solve that system by graphing? Does everybody agree that you understand how to do this? Okay. So let's take a look. Tell me if I have these equations. Okay. Let's do this one. Y equals -4x plus 4. And y equals -1/2 x minus 3. Okay, in your notes, I want you to identify the slope and y-intercept, and then we're going to graph them. I'll give you 1 minute, actually 30 seconds to do that. Identify the slope and y-intercept of each of those equations. Okay. Kemper. First one. What's the y-intercept?
Y-intercept is 4.
Huh?
4.
4. What's the slope?
4. Negative 4.
Over what?
Over
1. Good. Okay. Next one. Becca. What's the slope? What's the y-intercept?
The y-intercept is -3.
What's the slope?
-1/2.
And when I have a negative slope, which one do I make negative? The top one, right? So -1 over 2. Good. Okay. Who's going to help me graph? Allison, help me graph the first one. Where's the y-intercept?
The first one?
Uh-huh. I think it was 4, wasn't it? Yeah, 4. Okay, what's the slope? -4 over 1. So I'm going to go down 4 over 1, right? Okay, so I'm going to go down 4 over 1. Does that look right? Okay. Let's see. Lacey, help me graph the second one. Oh, wait, let me make my line real quick. Sorry. Okay. So down 3. Okay. And then where? And down 1 over 2. Okay, so down 1 over 2. Okay. So this one, did we make our line quite long enough? Oh, that's a bad line. Where does it look like these two are going to intersect? If we were to keep going right here, that would intersect where? Right there. What would the coordinates of that be? Over 2, down 4. 2, negative 4 would be my answer. Okay? Do we understand how this works? Is this difficult? This is not that hard. Now that you understand it, it's not that difficult, is it? Okay? All right, so I'm going to pass out your worksheets. I'll let you get started. I have 8 problems for you.